Welcome to Amazing Discoveries. My name is Mackenzie Drebit. I wanted to take some time to show you what has changed at AD, how the facility looks, some projects, how God has led us on the journey. If you've been following us on the vlogs, you'll know that it's been some time since we've given you an update. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to take some time and show you about AD, tell you about AD, and give you a tour. We're here in the foyer of the main office. This is Roselle, our receptionist. And I'll take you on the tour. Come with me. Down this way, you see my office here on the right, and then you see the purchasing manager's office. And this whole section here is all client relations associates. These people are the ones that talk to you on the phone. They take your orders, they take your donations, they answer your questions, they pray, and they minister to any needs. On the left here is the shipping clerk's office. And on the right are all client relations associates. Down here at the end is our mail room. This is where all the letters, the thank you letters for your donations, the tax receipts, all get processed and get put in envelopes and mailed to you. This machine right here takes all the letters and the envelopes, combines them for us, and shoots it out here at the end, nicely stuffed and ready to go. This machine right here takes the nicely stuffed envelope and runs it through to stamp it. So at the end, we have all our envelopes nicely stamped and ready to go to the post office, pre-posted. And right here is our staff lounge. So we have a little kitchenette, and we actually have a little bit of store supplies for people because we're so remote. In case they forget a lunch or something, there's some vegan food here that they can choose from and purchase. To the right here is our printing room. So in this room here, on this Ricoh, we print all the covers for our DVD cases. So here's a sample of one that just came out, and then they get trimmed on our paper cutter and manually assembled for sale and for distribution. Following me down this way, we've got the operation manager, Wendy Goubej's office. And we have the accounting department. And here to the left, we have our Canadian shipping department. I'll pop in here. So here we have just some, these are the DVDs that are here ready to go for sale or for free distribution in Canada. And the boxes that are all set up here on the table are actually all the boxes ready to go down to the States. So all the assembly happens in Canada, and then we ship down already assembled DVDs that are fully created down to the States to our US warehouse, and there they're sold to our US customers. Here's all of our books that we sell at AD, and we are very excited to add this entire section right here for children's books. So we're now able to offer some children's resources for homeschoolers and just things to encourage your children on their journey with God. We've also increased our entire Ellen White section, which is in through that other room, and we carry many of her books as well as a lot of other good resources that we find very trustworthy that people can use to find truth, anywhere from medical missionary work to gardening to Bible prophecy and all sorts of topics. We've also recently just published this new book that Amazing Discoveries has created and published. It's The Principles of Life. You might recognize the title. It's the old textbook that they gave to the old Adventist pastors back in the 1940s. It has a lot of really simple truths that you can use to help give Bible studies. We have revised it, so we've added a lot of extra Ellen White quotes and some other things that were more progressive since they created this back in the 1940s. They left some of that stuff out. It's a more up-to-date version with the teachings of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So if you haven't seen that, take a look at that. It's a really good Bible study helper. And in here, we have added a whole bunch of Ellen White books to our repertoire here. From selected messages all the way to 1888 sermons, we have a lot of Ellen White books now, as well as some Bibles coming for sale in these sections. This room represents all of the finished product. So DVDs that have already been assembled and are ready to go into boxes and be shipped to people. We still have a shipping storage in another area where we have all the spindles, DVD cases, and extra storage for books and things like that. But our Canadian warehouse is not as big as our US warehouse. What you see here is about 10 times smaller than the US warehouse located in Blaine, Washington. However, we are running out of space here in Canada. If you can see behind me here, all these boxes, these are all boxes ready to go down to the States. This is about half an order. There will be double or sometimes triple the amount of boxes going down to the States. So in our US warehouse, everything that we send down there is finished product. So DVDs that already have covers and cases, and the DVDs are inside, so there's no assembly required once it gets down to the States. So all the assembly happens here. So we have over to the right there, all the black filing cabinets. Those house the covers for the DVDs, the actual sleeves, and then they get cut here, they get printed in-house and cut here, and they also get assembled. So what usually happens is we get one big pallet coming in here of all the empty DVD cases, and another pallet coming out of here for all the finished assembled DVDs ready to go down to the States. So it's definitely pretty tight here. We are running out of storage space for our books. We're running out of storage space for the assembly and for the fact that we have so much traffic going out of this warehouse in Canada. Right now we also have extra storage on site here in Canada, which is the garage that's part of the main house. So the garage we converted into extra storage for the shipping department, and it's very full. We don't have space for even one more pallet to come in, which isn't very good. That limits us, so we have to always shove the stuff in the corners to try to fit more. So one thing that we're planning on doing by God's grace in the near future is building a shipping and assembly building. So a bigger warehouse basically that will allow all this to go into that new building. And we're thinking about adding a cafeteria to that so that when mission school students come and when staff want to eat, there is a cafeteria and a kitchen attached to that as well, just to save costs on extra buildings. So that's another project that we have on the go that we would love to complete in the near future. And if you want to support that project, we'd be very appreciative. On my right here is our maintenance office. So these are the grounds maintenance people, from the farm manager to the building maintenance manager to the housekeeper, everybody who helps to make the grounds look nice and the buildings stay clean. These people have an office here. So they can do their research and everything that's necessary to help them get their job done. In the corner is our financial controller's office, Jürgen Borges. This here is our server room for the barn. It's connected to the server room in the studio and to the other buildings as needed, so we can transfer data and they all stay connected between the buildings. Let's take a look and see what's upstairs. Come with me. So up here we have a little sitting area for our staff. If they want to take a break, they can come up here and just have a little bit of alone time. So in through here, we have a few more offices. We have an IT manager's office, and we have some storage here for computers and for assembling computer parts and other IT needs. Here's actually a little bit of a flex office. This is for when some of our online team members come in to work on site. They can work in this office here. So right here we have our IT and programming office. So in here we have extra offices for an IT assistant and our programmer who deals with web and other things that need to get programmed. And on the left here is communications. And straight through here we have our boardroom. So this is just where we have our meetings, where our board meets, and it also goes out onto this nice deck. Let's head back downstairs and have a talk with our operations manager. She'll tell you about some of the projects that AD is going to have in the future and what we're working on right now. Come on. Hi.
Hi, Tavea.
Do you have time for a little talk with our viewers?
Sure, happy to.
Okay. Can you tell me about some of the projects that AD has on the go right now, some of the ones that you're most excited about?
Sure. We have many projects that we are working on at the moment, but one of the most exciting ones is the website. Our website has just launched with the new watch section, and of course I'm very excited about that. We're going to be unrolling some new features in the near future, but the next sections are up for work now, and that's the read section. And I'm personally very excited about that because I have compiled many articles on the website over the years, but they were never very accessible because it wasn't very mobile friendly. And now we have finally a chance to be able to make these articles available to people in a more user-friendly, more findable way. So I'm very excited about that. And of course, all the targeting that we're doing to specific groups who are seeking very specific keywords is very important. And it's going to get this information in front of the people who are actually looking for that information. One of our most popular articles on our website is the prophecy articles. People seem to be very interested in Revelation, Daniel, and so we're very excited to be able to put those ones in the forefront. We will be targeting the most popular first, and the prophecy symbols as well. Last year, that was our most highest webpage visited, was the Bible symbols page. So it clearly shows you that there are people out there who really want to know, what does the Bible say about the future, especially in the times that we're living in. So I think it's important.
So with the website, you're going to be taking those older articles that are on a different website and revamping them with maybe some modern keywords that people are searching for, and putting them in a new format to add them to our new read section. Is that correct?
Correct. And also we're going to be making landing pages, and these pages will combine everything that we have, all the resources that we have on specific topics, such as the Sabbath or death or the Antichrist or whatever people are searching. And then people will be able to watch or read all the material that we have available on that subject.
I'm really excited about the landing pages because some project that I really want to do is mass mailing in the city. I want to send little flyers or postcards to people in 2022, just pointing them to different landing pages where they can then see articles, videos, and all the different material we have on that topic.
And billboards.
That. Yes.
That's something that people have asked us for, and we've always been hesitant because we didn't have a good website to send them to. But now with these landing pages, we can do billboards, point people to that specific topic that they want to advertise. So I'm very excited about that. The potential is amazing.
Yes, it's a really a big resource to help be able to evangelize. It's an evangelistic tool, this new
very
website.
Powerful one. Yeah.
So you mentioned, before we move on to other projects, you mentioned about the watch section. You said new features. Can you tell me about some of those new features that are coming in 2022?
Sure. The watch section is going to have a few very nice features. We want to add a notification bell so people will know when something new's been added. We want to add a premiere option so people can see that something is going to be airing for the very first time. We also want to add audio because many people have asked us to be able to download the audio of our videos and be able to listen to them offline in the car, and that's coming very soon. The audio will also be available on Spotify and other audio platforms, so people can download the audio not just from our website but also from these platforms.
Nice.
And of course there's also the app that we want to build. And now some people might be confused when they go to the mobile or their phone. Some people have downloaded our app and they think that by clicking on the app they're going to come to our website.
Our new watch site.
Our new watch site. And it doesn't work that way. An app is a very separate thing. So right now our website is mobile friendly. We're also going to be launching an app.
Yes, we've been getting some feedback from people wondering about how the website links with the app, and they downloaded the app and got confused.
Yes.
So can you explain that?
Sure. So the app is not the same as the website. Our website is mobile friendly. So if you type in the URL, you'll get to the website and it'll work great on your devices. But some people who've downloaded the app think that that will link them to the website, and it does not. So we are going to make a new app that will contain that information from our watch section and our read section, and allow people to access our site quickly through that as well, coming in the near future.
I think something that's really awesome about the ADTV.watch is it gives us an opportunity to have a little bit more time on the internet, because just relying on YouTube and social media is not a great way to go. We've been experiencing some censorship already, right?
Yes, we have. We've had certain things, certain videos pulled, even sometimes before they were made live. We had a video that was pulled, it was just in draft mode, and they even pulled it then.
Yeah, so I think it's really important for viewers to get to know the watch section and really keep an eye out for it, especially when the notifications come in, because certain things we just can't put on the other alternative platforms like YouTube.
Exactly.
I was going to ask you, speaking about apps, there is an app thing that we're coming out with that I'm very excited about. Can you tell us about that?
Those are the smart TV apps?
Yes.
Yes. That is something we're very excited about. And smart TVs have access to internet. And so we want to be able to put an app on every smart TV that you purchase, LG, Samsung, any of the top brands that people have in their homes. They will be able to access our website through this app. And we're planning on doing that in the near future, very near future. And with the apps that we're going to be putting together, we'll be covering over 50% of the worldwide devices that are being used around the world to watch anything on the internet. So,
and what's amazing about that is that 50% of the world's devices represents 100% of all the English-speaking devices.
Correct. That's right.
We won't necessarily be on some of the Chinese or the Russian-specific platforms, but we are on all the English-speaking worldwide devices.
Exactly.
So that's amazing.
We want to reach the world.
And so you were saying that each app has to be specific to the type of TV.
Correct.
So you have to create a specific app for LG, a specific app for Samsung.
Yes.
And each app costs about how much?
Well, last time we spoke to the company, we're still in negotiations, but I believe they quoted us around $15,000 per app, which if we had about 10 apps that we were thinking of doing, would amount to about $150,000.
Okay, well it's reasonable considering that in the end we can really reach a huge portion of the world.
Exactly.
And the reason why smart TVs are important to the apps themselves is because you can't get the website on a smart TV.
No.
You can't just browse the web, and certain smart TVs you can, but certain ones you can't. So having that app will allow people who have a YouTube app on their smart TV, but not all of our programs are able to be on YouTube. So they'll still allow them to access those programs that have been prohibited.
Right.
Tell me about the Mission School project.
Yes, that's another very big project that we have that we've been planning for years. It's one of the reasons we moved to the country, was so that we could have more capability to give this resource to people. It's going to be, the Mission School is basically about teaching people how to be an Adventist. And it of course will cover doctrine, but it will also cover things like country living, medical missionary, witnessing, all those sorts of things. Because of the restrictions with COVID, we wanted to make sure that our mission school was available also online. So we've started already with a few of those programs. How to Country is one of the programs we have for helping people learn how to do things manually in the country when they move to the country. Practical country living. And the study portal of the website is going to be a big part, a big component of the mission school. We are going to be having self-guided lessons through there. We're going to have also virtual live Bible studies that we can give to people, and students will be able to participate as students and as teachers on that platform to help them with their witnessing practice. So we've already moved into this realm with the digital formats. Although we don't know what's happening in the future with the restrictions, we want to prepare the grounds. But we do have digital options for people who aren't able to attend.
And I think also the grounds will preparing the grounds will allow us to be able to film some of those activities and make them digital as well. So
exactly.
we still do need a treatment room to do medical missionary work. We still do need those things to be able to demonstrate. Right?
Exactly. Now, something I'd like to let viewers know about is that there is no medical missionary program in Canada, and we are located in Canada. So we're the first and only mission school that's available in Canada at the moment, and I'm very excited about that, to be able to offer that to Canadians. And even if we're not able to bring people across the border or internationally to the school, I still think it's a very important need in this country.
It is.
In the US, they have many options.
Yeah, I know that we would love to be able to invite everybody from around the world.
Yes.
And that is our dream, and God willing, maybe we'll be able to in the future. But even if not, there are other options in the States for people to attend, and there's nothing in Canada.
There's nothing, that's right.
What is our biggest need to get the mission school functional? Whether it's going to be for digital purposes or also for physical, whether it's Canadians or whatever. What's our biggest need to get it functioning?
Our biggest need right now is housing. We have a very big shortage of housing. The area is not good for rental. There's not very many options available for staff. And most of our staff don't want to live in the city. That's why they wanted to work here, because they wanted to be in the country. So, and there are very little options available in general, whether city or country. So we do have to provide some options for them. And unfortunately, we've used up all of the resources that we have available in housing for our staff, and we need more staff. We need administrative staff, we need video editors, we still need a few of those. And so we are going to be asking people to come join our team, and where will they live? So our housing situation is definitely something we need to work on. We have a few options on the property that we've made some space for, but we need help getting those buildings erected, getting the funds to put those buildings together. Some of the housing is also being set aside for students or for guests. Sometimes people come by and they want to visit AD, and then we'd like to be able to offer a place for them to stay. So we have temporary and permanent housing needs. And I believe that a little later on in the program, you're going to go show them some of the spots.
Yeah, I will walk them down and show them some of the spots.
Yes, and they're very lovely, but we do need the help. So any help anyone would be willing to give towards that would help us out, because we're very short-staffed, and we'd like to be able to get a few more staff to help us out and get production going a little faster.
I know that it's really hard to be able to produce and to be creative when you're bogged down with a lot of administrative work.
Yes.
And you know, there's always administrative work. There's always things that needs to be done. And so administrators is very important. And I think that that's kind of a lost thing in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, because everybody wants to be the one on the front. You know, they want to be the missionary, they want to be the preacher, they want to, you know, even video edit is something that they're more inclined to do. But being an office administrator is not usually something that they want to do. But there's a need, and God wants those people as well.
There's a room for everyone in God's vineyard.
Thank you very much for your time and telling us some of these projects that are coming up and being worked on. I'm very excited about them. I know you are, and thank you for taking time to share it with our viewers.
You're most welcome. Glad you could come by.
Okay, take care. I'm going to take you over to my office to have a Zoom meeting with our marketing manager, Matthew Schanche. Come with me. I'm here with Matthew Schanche, the marketing manager for Amazing Discoveries. I'm going to have a little interview with him, but I just also wanted to say that he's right now off-site, and we have a few workers who are off-site. Matthew kind of represents that, but he also is going to tell us about marketing. He's going to tell us about the website. So let's dive right in. Hi, Matt.
Hey, it's Bea. How's it going?
Good. I wanted to just talk to you about the website section of the study portal there. I know that you were kind of the designer behind that whole project, and I wanted to ask you to tell us some of the features that are coming in the study portal section of the website and how it's going to work, the functionality, and give us a little bit about that.
Well, it's kind of an exciting thing to see coming together, because I, like many people who follow Amazing Discoveries, watched Total Onslaught and all of the amazing materials that Amazing Discovery had, and it played a huge role in my life. And so when the Lord blessed me to come serve with Amazing Discoveries, and I learned that there was an opportunity for us to, look at our website and see how we can better help people. It really struck me that, one of the things that I had trouble with was the experience that we have when managing or engaging with this material is like we watch it, but it's kind of stops there. And I think from meeting a lot of people who've been impacted by this material, there's always this sense of like, okay, what do I do from here? Where do I go? How do I manage all this information? And it really felt like there was a gap. There's a gap in taking the next step in one's learning process and one's process towards evangelizing and witnessing for Christ, and taking all this great information that's impacted them and finding a way to help have that impact other people. And that's what I think the aspect of studying came out. Like, where can we go this day and age and find a place where we can see study plans and have tools to save things like bookmarks, which we'll talk a little bit about, but also have the ability to look at your Bible and Ellen White material and Amazing Discoveries material all in one place in a way that you can do something with it. And what I mean by that is you can take pieces of information and start grouping them together and building plans that can help other people and help yourself grow more confident in the scriptures. And ultimately, I think that's what we wanted to do more of. We wanted to fill that place where we can have a person watch a video on YouTube and say, what's the next step? And we have an answer. It's come over to amazingdiscoveries.org, come into a study that interests you based on where you are right now, whether you're interested in the state of the dead or the sanctuary, or you want to help someone understand a doctrine better. Find what is going to help you most and start digging into that more in a way that's organized, easy to manage, and allows you to feel like you have that weight lifted off your shoulders, that you now have a place to do this stuff and a way to share it with other people. And so when we started thinking about what tools would help accomplish this goal, we started looking again at our own experiences. And those experiences kind of showed us that, we've got mostly videos at our fingertips, and the videos are packed super dense with this great information. And how can we help users go about managing that data, finding that data based on what they think is most important? So the first tool we plan on turning on as part of the study experience is going to be the video bookmarking tool. Now, there's not really anything like this out there right now. And it's supposed to help when you're watching a video, allow you to take a specific timestamp, a moment in time in a video, and pull that timestamp out, name it whatever you want, and be able to come back to that video at any point and see all the timestamps you have. So over time, you can quickly jump to things and find things in a video that maybe you couldn't before. We even have the ability to add tags to those bookmarks, so you can start grouping concepts and ideas together. Let's say you see 3 clips from this video about the plan of salvation, and another 3 clips from this video about the plan of salvation. And eventually you want to group those things together to start sending clips out to people about those particular points that you find interesting. You're going to be able to start doing that, all within a larger structure of the site to educate. Now, the bookmarks will carry over from videos into reading experiences, like saving parts of articles, books that will have ebooks on the website, as well as being able to save Bible verses. So the idea is to give people a place to put everything and to organize it in a way that they can witness and maybe take that next step. Or maybe if they're not ready to go witness, come prepare and get ready so you can be more confident in your evangelism efforts. And for us, that was the next step for Amazing Discoveries from the web experience standpoint, is helping people better manage all the great information that all these great teachers have contributed to over the last 25 plus years.
Yeah, I think that it's absolutely fantastic when you think about the functionality that's coming through on the study portal and the ability to help people who need a self-guided study, which will be there, but also people who want to give studies but they don't know how. And it's tools that will help them compile the information and compile the data that they can feel solid when giving that Bible study, that they have the resources, they're not saying anything that's obscure. When somebody comes to them and says, "Where'd you get that?" They will have access to our resources as well, where we got that. So it's a really awesome tool, and I think it's one of the kind, really, for a ministry setting to have that kind of tool. So I'm pretty excited to see it come to fruition. And like you said, one of our real desires was to bring people from just viewing the material, but actually interacting with it and becoming teachers and sharing, disciples for Christ, really, the truth. And I think this tool allows us to move people into that direction. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Yeah, and we hope to have it be as kind of a suite of tools that we open like over time. We're really always trying to think about how we can better serve people in their educational path. And so while the bookmarks is one tool of that, we're going to have a notes section and other tabs of sections in the video player that hopefully we'll be able to show some images of, to give people an idea of what this experience will be like. And I think I hope people will find that it's a blessing, as we really try to tap into what people were looking for and said that they needed, but maybe didn't have access to, and try to do so in a way that it makes it really easy for them to engage with this material in a way that I think we all want to, which is have it have the impact on us, on other people.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about marketing. So you run the department. Tell me about the need for marketing and how it works in a Christian ministry setting, and how it helps people.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like a frame of mind when you think about marketing in a ministry setting. And most often marketing is considered like a to B sales process. And in ministry, it doesn't really take on that role. And one of the things that kind of really spoke to me when I was looking at how early Adventists, early pioneers went about their administration, right? They went and opened publishing houses. Right. They went and made really compelling graphics that were charts of prophecy timelines and the images of beasts, and made sure those things got out there. And that's where you have things today. People hand out tracts. Like, that's all like hearkening back to this early Adventist time period. And I think that's what's happening now on a digital front. And while people can, from the outside, think that marketing may be this auxiliary piece that may or may not be necessary in evangelism efforts, I think in this day and age, it's kind of the lifeblood of evangelism, because we're supposed to meet people where they are. And a lot of times that involves us taking a message to a place that it's never been before, with an audience that has never really seen it in that light before, let's say. And it's our job to present this truth against the error, comparing and contrasting these things, not in like a judgmental way, but just letting people know that there's a difference. And so when we approach marketing, we try to look at how Christ went about his ministration and reaching the people where they were. Paul did the same thing, reaching the people where they were and trying to bring the message to them in the context of where they are. And I'll give an example. So for instance, we know that there's a message in Ellen White's writings about the destruction of cities in the future. Well, we would like to, use these pieces of information to make people aware of things in advance. And while we can't go to those cities during this current conditions of the world and hand out pamphlets, and while that may be a noble cause, the most effective way that we could reach those people is to create a digital blanket around them, around that city, and make sure they get this third angel's message, make sure they understand the call to get out of the cities and why. And we can use the marketing platform, the digital evangelism tool, let's call it, to reach those people where they are, which quite frankly is on their mobile phones, on their computers, and do so in a way that allows them to relate to what's happening now in the world, to the larger prophetic picture. And that really opens a door for them to explore some of these things in a non-confrontational way. So instead of us knocking on their door and saying some of these things, we are able to show them in a very safe setting for them on their phone, or introduce them in their comfort of their home where they're not in a debate or feel like they have to have their guard up, right? And so that becomes a very effective evangelism tool. And so, making more prophecy charts, pointing more people to the videos and things that we have is part of the ministry that I think the early Adventist pioneers would do if they were doing it today. Yeah. And that may be a tough pill for some people to swallow, but it's just the nature of the reality that we're in. And so we really try to take advantage of the tools that are there without diluting it in any way to reduce the true purpose of the mission, which is to get the three angels messages out there.
Exactly. I think that marketing is one of the most important departments in a ministry setting, because it's really evangelistic. It's an evangelistic department. We're not necessarily here to market AD. We're here to market the message and bring that to people. And I think that there's a lot of focus on video editing and production, which is fine, it's great. But marketing is kind of a silent hero in the background that brings those those programs that video editing produces and puts them in front of people and brings them to their phone and to their, to their scroll section wherever they are on social media or anywhere. And it helps really drive that to their fingertips, which I think is very heroic in that sense, because if you just threw out a video and had nothing around it, you might lose viewers and lose potential people to target. So I think it's very important.
We saw that kind of after the last year with all the conditions of the world. The mark of the beast searches on Google went up like 100-fold. And when more news of the health crisis came out, more interest was found in a topic that people didn't even know was biblical when they started into it. So our job in the mindset of meeting people where they are, right, is to put the right information, what we believe to be the right information, in front of those people, because their interest is there. They see something's wrong. They're making the connections. It's our job to get them to this next place, lead the flock to a place where they can be fed. And we do our best to try to do that. And hopefully by God's grace, that's what this site is on the way to becoming.
Excellent. Tell me about Facebook. You spent a lot of time. I know we first actually met you right around just before camp meeting in 2019, and you and your wife were the first people we ever had who really focused on marketing for Amazing Discoveries. So tell me about your efforts in social media, specifically Facebook.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's been pretty remarkable, because when we came in, those who came before us, that you guys didn't have a focus on it, and you still had such a solid base going on Facebook, really is a testament to how much impact the material had on people, because they were really yearning to connect with AD. And so our job when we first came on board was to make Facebook a place that was a fun place to be, an interesting place to be, an educational place to be, a place where you saw other people's comments because there was stuff, worth commenting on. And I think that was our first goal, was to give people things that were engaging and relevant to them in this path. And so we started doing research posts about the UN educational curriculum and its goals on a larger spectrum. We started looking at Alice A. Bailey and Lucius Trust and some of the goals and pieces of Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti, using Facebook as this kind of way to give people insights on how we're going about approaching putting together other material, but maybe not having to wait. It's like little bite-sized pieces of it, in conjunction with giving access to new releases and finding interesting Bible passages and studies that we'll do on there occasionally, pointing people back to other things on the site. And what we found was an explosion in growth, an explosion in engagement, an explosion in people sharing AD's material. And I think that's because they were just sitting there waiting to do that. And we finally, God was ready to give them that through the ministry by allowing Courtney and I to come serve with you guys. And so once we turned to focus on Facebook and some of the other socials, but mainly Facebook, we saw our subscriber base jump significantly. So when we originally came on board, raising the channel page likes and engagements from in the 40,000s to doubling that within like a 12-month period, over to 80,000 people. And in the process, we saw the engagement, like where we were getting 1 or 2 comments, we're now getting 50, 60, 70 likes and engagements, upwards and upwards. And what that brings in value to the ministry is it makes more people aware of the ministry. And that's really how we use Facebook and other social media platforms, is to give people the opportunity to point people back. Because when we look in total, we've got 20 million Adventists on Facebook. We did some digging, and we don't think 20 million Adventists know everything that we have, let alone all the stuff that those Adventists know who they can share our stuff with. So our goal was really to start making sure that people knew who we were, knew the types of material we had, and doing so in ways that were easy to share with others. And we saw that that's had a really explosive impact, and including carrying over to our YouTube channel. And 2020 was a record year, a lot of it driven by people's interest in the pandemic. And it just so happened to meet at the same time where we were ready to handle some of those things and really incorporate some of these strategies to manage those things. And I think it's kind of a beautiful proof that God's working here, because for so long these tools and pieces weren't there. And then right as this like onslaught of events happens, we have the ability to start reaching people where they are. And even though we're not done building at this moment, it's tracking on a path that really looks like amazing work could be done with that.
Definitely. For me personally, marketing is a very exciting department because we haven't had one before. And so now with all these efforts that we're putting towards it and seeing all the growth and seeing the viewers that are being reached through the endeavors, it's just beautiful to me. So thank you for joining our team, and thank you for running that department for us. It's really needed.
Thank you, Tabea. Praise the Lord. It's a blessing to be serving with you all.
Well, have a great day. Thanks for the time for the interview, and take care. Okay, I'm going to take you over to the studio and show you some of the stuff that's happening there. We're here at the studio, and we just came in the staff entrance at the back. Here is the office for all the video editors. I'm going to introduce you to Sergio. Come with me. Hi, Sergio.
Hi, Tabea.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
All
So
right.
Sergio is our pre-production manager. He deals with all the production before it goes into post and before the video editing happens. And he also heavily deals with our broadcasting. Can you tell us about some of the platforms that we're on right now?
Oh yeah, right now we are working on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick TV, and we are in Apple TV as well. We just launched the ADTV.watch in our website, which has streaming and videos on demand as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this is the platforms that we have, plus the social medias that we are in Facebook, we are in Telegram, we are in YouTube, and the other medias that we have as well.
Great, and then we have some satellites that we're on.
Yes, we do. We have 3 satellites running, almost covering the whole world. We have Europe covered, we have North America, we have Australia, Africa, and we just got Israel as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, we're very excited about that project.
Yes.
It's first time ADs in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been working on a playout system for AD for the last little while.
Yes. So we got since we started working with the satellite, all the control room that we have is in Israel, and you have to remote control from here, which sometimes gives us a little headaches because of connections, and sometimes the satellite goes off in the middle of the night, we can do nothing. But now we're going to control everything in-house because we're building our own server in-house here. It's going to be very easy and smooth. So now all the schedule is going to match.
Nice. So we'll have one signal that goes to all the different platforms.
Yes.
And that will fix some of that downtime that viewers
Yes.
have been noticing
Yes.
with the screens going black and stuff. So we're very excited for that. Yes, that's been a big project for you. for a long time.
It is. Yeah,
So
it's a teamwork. We've been working with some engineers that is doing the job.
Excellent. And about your pre-production work. So you have been working on some sets.
Yes, we are putting up together some documentary sets, like Enmity, other documentaries that might have it, as well the kitchen set, the green screen set, the new set, and as well the studio that we have to have ready for any speakers that might come here, and we want to do like a live streaming or recordings. Everything got to be ready.
In season and out of season.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time,
You're welcome.
Sergio.
Welcome.
So from Sergio's office and the broadcast control room, right behind us here, we have the video editing department, which has all the video editors and the motion graphics designers working on all the different projects that AD has on the go right now. This department is responsible for everything to do with post-production. So from cutting the video, to adding music, to color correction, to motion graphics, to doing the intro and the outro. This team is responsible for all that. And from here, they send those finished files to the satellite or to the streaming or to sales or for DVDs, and it all leaves from this team and this department. Here on my right is the media director's office, Mackenzie Drebit, and straight up here is to the back of the stage, to the studio. And here is our green room. This is where speakers have time to gather their thoughts and to pray before they go on stage to do their presentation. Behind me here, this door goes into the set area that Sergio is setting up some new sets for us to work with. Come with me back this way. Going in through this area, we come down up to the back of the stage or through to the studio area. Let me take some time to tell you a little bit about the studio and some background stories. I'm even going to tell you a little bit about the move. Our studio seats about 300 people on the ground and 50 people up on the balcony. So it's about 350 people total. Behind me, you'll see the rear projection screen. The story with that screen is kind of interesting. Back in our old studio in the city, we already purchased that screen. We needed it for a project that we were filming down there already, but it was way too large for our studio. When we purchased this one, we had the screen, so we had to build the studio that is already here around the screen. All the needs that it has, it needs exactly 12 feet behind the screen for its 6 projectors that shine a picture from the back. And everybody told us, oh, it's very strange that you're building an entire studio around a screen. But we had to, because we knew that our goals here are to preach the Three Angels message, and our goals is for production. So we wanted to make sure that everything that we needed was set in place and was going to work well for our needs. Behind the screen is 6 rear projectors. These are, each projector is 20,000 lumens, which projects about 4K onto the screen. These projectors are definitely very delicate, and they have to be perfectly aligned in order to make the one picture all match with all 6 projectors. So it's its own little separate room with its own door closed so that nobody goes in there, because just breathing a little too hard can set off the projectors. One investment that we would like to make for those projectors is a software that will align the projectors for us so that it casts one solid image without any lines or shifts from the 6 projectors. Right now it takes us about 5 solid hours to realign the projectors to make them all match, because we have to do it manually. And in the future, an investment we would like to do is to install the software and purchase the software that will allow us to align it all automatically within 15 minutes. We began the move to come to the country at the end of 2017, so when we purchased this property. And in 2018, things really started taking off. We wanted to move as fast as possible because we had a burden that God wanted us to be up here, and we knew that we didn't want any delays. Our property down in the Lower Mainland in the city had already sold, so we needed to move quite quickly. And it became apparent that it would not be done in time, so we had to rent a small city office for the interim. Sometimes when you are following God and you think that you're doing the right thing, not everything always is smooth ahead of you. And that was something that we found with this move. There were obstacles, but when there's obstacles, God can often miraculously move them when He wants you to move forward. So one story that comes to mind for me is the internet story. So while we had the office down in the Lower Mainland renting it, the video editors and the video editing department moved right up immediately to be up in the country. And they operated in the only house that was functioning, which is the main house. So they all crammed into the living room and into the library to make it work. And right around that time, we realized that there was no high-speed internet here. And that had been one of our stipulations for purchasing this property. We had asked people if there was high-speed internet. We looked into it. We were assured, yes, there's high speed. And when we moved here, we soon realized that there wasn't. And this was something that kind of surprised us, because that was something that's absolutely needed to run a media ministry in the country. So right around this time, we asked God, well, you're going to have to help us. We don't know what to do. And we started talking to companies to bring in fiber optics to have it pulled to our property. And this was not something that we were very excited about, because we had to pull fiber optics to our previous property down in the Lower Mainland, and we knew exactly how much it cost. So we couldn't only imagine how much it would cost to bring it into the country. But after a lot of negotiation, we had got a price that was fair to pull fiber optics from about 4 kilometers away from the fire hall right up the road. We signed the contract right around fall. Winter came and nobody could pull in the fiber optics, so we called them and said, hey, when do you think you can bring it in? And they said, well, not during winter, because the fiber optics can break, so we can't pull at all during winter. So we said, okay, no worries. And then spring came. We said, when are you going to pull it now? They said, oh, in a little while, when it warms up, we'll talk about it then. Okay, so then summer came. We said, hey, are you going to bring in the fiber optics? They said, yes, yeah, we'll come to you in a little bit. Then fall came, and right around this time we were very panicked, because winter was coming again, and they said that they can't pull it in winter due to the weather. So we said, you know, we really need it in fall before winter comes, otherwise we have to wait all the way until next year again. And this whole time while we were waiting for the fiber optics to come, our video editing department would send their files that they wanted uploaded on hard drives down to our Lower Mainland office, the rental one that we were using, and we would upload those files for them in the office in the city, and then bring the hard drives back for them to fill again. And this would happen every 2 weeks, back and forth, bringing more content down to upload, because there was not suitable internet in order to do it up here. So in winter, we asked them, right in fall, we asked them, when are you going to bring it? We really need this. We've waited a whole year, and winter's coming, and you told us you can't pull it in winter. What's the plan? What's the holdup? And we started to feel that there was something up. Something was wrong that was causing this large delay. They told us, we'll bring you somebody to fix it. So finally the tech arrived in just about end of fall to bring in our fiber optics, and he spoke to us and he said, you know, I just want you to know that you guys signed on to have the fiber optics pulled from the 4 kilometers away from the fire hall, and there is no fiber optics there. Well, it's there, but we actually can't branch off of it. It's all used up. We can't get in access to that fiber optic. So we had to pull you a whole new line from Williams Lake. And we were like, oh, wow. And they said, but because you had signed the contract already, we honored your price. But it cost the company about $500,000 to bring in the fiber optics. So at that point, we realized that the small portion that we had to pay was nothing in comparison to what we could have had to pay. And we realized that God had protected us from this crisis that would have come upon us. So God always has ways to fix things. We never have to try to do it ourselves. So as the construction was carrying on here, we were running the 2 offices, one in the Lower Mainland and then the video editing department up here and the big build project. So that required us to travel back, management to travel back every 2 weeks, every week to 2 weeks. So we were constantly driving 6 hours up and 6 hours down to keep switching between the 2 locations and making sure everything is functioning well. And this took a lot of energy. We did that for about 2 years, back and forth every week to 2 weeks. And each time we went, we would bring more material. We would bring building materials up, or we would bring some of our stuff up to store here as the storage became more and more available. For those of you who have not been following our vlogs, this studio used to be a 10,000 square foot riding arena. It was a riding arena that the couple that lived here personally owned, and it was just perfect to convert into a studio. It already had engineered drawings, so it was built to the specifications that we would need, and we knew it was a safe structure to start building a studio in. And we wanted to start moving immediately once we purchased this property to get up here as fast as possible. So we were asking God to help us with trades. We were asking God to send us the people to help build this project, because right when we started, we didn't really have anybody to work with. And we were new to the area, so we didn't know who we could ask to help. And God just laid out the teams to build this project perfectly for us. Everything that we needed was ready and waiting. We even had the machines to do the cement pad, considering it was so large. It needed some special laser level machines, and God had it all ready and waiting for us with no delays. The studio was the first building that we were ready to move into. We were planning that because we already had an office building that we were functioning in the Lower Mainland just to rent and to get by. So we had the office facility. What we didn't have was a studio. We weren't renting a studio, so there was no production for the entire year of 2018. So we wanted to get this functioning as fast as possible. So as soon as it was ready in the end of November, we started cleaning up the dust and getting ourselves ready to start functioning in here, and we needed lighting. We didn't have any lighting for the stage, and we didn't have lighting for the entire auditorium area or audio. And it just so happened that while we were in the interim waiting for a studio, we were able to film in the Lower Mainland in a theater down there. We filmed the Darkness Before Dawn series. And during this series, we were able to meet a man who works on audio and lighting and other things like this. And we called him and we said, hey, are you able to help us get a good lighting rig and a good audio setup for our new studio? And he said, well, it just so happens that I work for a company that focuses on that. So the company was able to fly up here, get all the specifications of what we needed, and install the entire lighting on the stage, the auditorium lights, and the audio. So we were very thankful that God orchestrated it just so that we could meet these people just in time to set up our studio. While the building project was going on over here, as I said, we had that rental office down in the Lower Mainland. So the management needed to travel from the office down in the Lower Mainland up to the building project every 1 to 2 weeks. It was very exhausting. And if you can imagine how tired you are after moving your own personal house, which can take a week or 2 weeks, taking 2 years to do 1 to 2 weeks back and forth, 6 hours, is very exhausting. But that's what it took to move the ministry, and we wanted to do it. We had lots of energy, and we said, you know what? This is what God wants. And I really do believe that God gave us energy for that move, because shortly after that, we had to move our private house, and after 2 days of moving that house, we were exhausted for an entire week. We were just drained. So the fact that we were able to move the ministry 1 to 2 weeks for 2 years, bringing stuff up each time or stuff back down, whatever was needed, building materials would go up, any extra furniture would go up, for 2 years, and being sustained, that tells me that God really was giving us the strength to do such an intense move. right after the studio was ready, that was in January, the lights were in, everything was ready to go, our first filming was done with Christopher Hudson. He came in and we filmed a bunch of single sermons from him. And shortly after that, in June, the office was ready. So we moved into the office, and in end of August, we had our first camp meeting and property dedication in 2019. Right after that, I'm sure you can remember, or sure you know, the pandemic hit at the beginning of 2020. And with that time, we were just really thankful that God had helped us finish the move and get settled right before the crisis hit. The stories of the journey all along the way of God's mercy and His hand in guiding us up here is just amazing. To go through it all, I would have to take a few hours to sit down and go through it all. But I hope sharing some of these stories gave you encouragement for your journey and to realize that God is still there and He will open doors as He sees fit. All right, let's head upstairs now, and I'll take you to the balcony of the studio. And on there, I'll show you the PA room, the control room for the stage, and we'll meet with Mackenzie to learn about some projects that video editing is working on. So Mackenzie, what are you working on right now?
So I've been working on composing and putting together some of the music for our Conviction documentary.
Tell me about Conviction.
So Conviction is a documentary about sort of the Reformation, and there's a lot of parts of the Reformation in the documentary, but there's a lot of parts in it that pertain to now. So it takes what happened there and how is that impacting us now, and what is happening now with the Counter-Reformation, trying to remove all that work that the Reformers did 500 years ago, and how that impacts us, and it's very important for us to know today.
Conviction was filmed in Europe for 3 weeks, right? It took us about 3 weeks to gather the footage.
We went to Europe, we brought a lot of gear, and if you've seen some of the updates that we showed, maybe some of the people have seen those, they can see all the gear that we took. It was long days of filming, about 15-hour days of filming, and about for 3 weeks. Went there on site of as many locations as we could. We got some really, really amazing footage, places that no one has ever filmed before. And so now we've been working this whole year very hard on getting that project together and incorporating a lot of current things now that people are going to be very interested in as well. And then the music part of that helps to drive the story home to the viewers. And so that's what I've been working on here in the sound booth.
Very nice. I think that Conviction is going to be a very nice project to come out. I'm very excited for it. I think in the future we're going to be doing a segment on just the behind the scenes for Conviction, just kind of telling the stories and the miracles of how God opened the door through those 3 weeks for us to be able to film on such unique sites. So
we have a lot of stories of amazing things that happen, miracles that happen, just opportunities that we didn't even know going into, when we went to Europe, we didn't even know we would have.
Yeah.
One of the gentlemen who has a huge Bible collection of 500-year-old Bibles, he let us come into his place and do a lot of filming there, which was really nice.
Exactly. I think that'll be nice for viewers to stay tuned for, to watch some of those miracles, and of course for the premiere of Conviction, which is coming soon in 2022.
We're going to be hopefully putting the whole series out in 2022. That's our goal. We're going to push really hard for that. We're very close to the end of the first episode. We still have some audio finishes to do, some color, some added little tweaks here and there. And then the music, we've just recently started work on the music for that part of the project. And then there's a lot of bonus features for each episode of things that we couldn't put in the full documentary, but that are extremely interesting and people are going to want to see.
Nice. The first episode talks heavily on the Sabbath, right?
There's a lot of talk about the Sabbath and how a lot of the early reformers actually kept the Sabbath, but that's not a very common known fact. And so we talk about even how some of the apostles in India and things like this in the first episode.
Very nice, very nice. So tell me about some of the other projects that VE has been working on the last few years and what you're planning on working on in the future.
Well, this year was a little bit different, a little bit more difficult with restrictions, with getting speakers to come, having people in the studio, having live events, things like that was a little bit hindered. But one thing that we did do was we filmed a lot with Barbara O'Neill this year. We filmed with some other speakers too, like Pavel Goya, Walt Cross. But with Barbara, we were actually able to do some live recording with her, it was partially over Zoom, watching from Zoom, but we had a helper in the States. She was able to come to the States. She couldn't come to Canada, but she was able to film in the States. And we did about 50 lectures.
Wow.
In about a 2-week period.
Wow.
With Barbara. So there's a lot of things going to be coming out shortly with
good medical missionary content.
And actually some spiritual talks
with
Barbara as well.
Very good. I think that was a miracle too, just being able to have somebody in the States who was able to film on our behalf. And then I believe GMI's opened their studio to us to allow us to film right there. And your team and you were on Zoom through that whole thing virtually to get that production done, which was nice.
Some other projects that we would like to do are videos talking about different prophecies, whether it's Daniel and Revelation breakdowns, prophecy seminars, like Revelation-style seminars that we want to work on. Some little mini documentaries going through the different points in Daniel and Revelation, explaining these things in detail, because it's very confusing to a lot of people, some of the prophecies in there, and how you come to these conclusions. Is it just, well, you have to read a study guide and all these things in order to find out? So we want to work on some things like that. And some classroom type productions where we teach people how to study the Bible, how they can go through their Bible and learn how to understand the prophecies for themselves, verse by verse.
I know that you have some interesting talks on that too, specifically Daniel and Revelation, and your angle is basically only using Ellen G. White, the Bible, and using William Miller's rules, which is something that I don't think is very often used when studying those two books of the Bible, and what trouble we get into by creating very interesting ideas of what it means when we veer off from these things. And I remember Ellen White has a quote where she says that we should use William Miller's rules to interpret the Bible.
I think where most people go wrong or get confused when studying the Bible, or why there's so many different opinions on different topics, is because we're all using different rules and different methods for reading the Bible. Or we're using no method, and we're reading a verse and coming up with an assumption. We're not actually letting the Bible explain itself properly and using it in proper context. You can take two verses in the Bible that should never be used together, mix them up. You have Judas hung himself, and you have a verse that says, "Do thou likewise." And that's a very dangerous doctrine that you've just come up with.
Right.
But you're still using verses in the Bible. So how to do that properly is very important.
For sure. So you are planning on creating some of these study type style productions and some Daniel and Revelation series, basically prophecy series, to help people understand those things.
Another thing that we're working towards is a health summit. Some of the videos that we were filming with Barbara O'Neill is going to be released exclusively during the health summit initially. And we're hoping to do that sometime around the end of February. That's what we're aiming for. So people can definitely keep an eye out for the health summit that should be coming.
That'll be a very nice summit. I think it'll have a lot of very valuable information in it from Barbara, and also a testimony as well of somebody who got over COVID naturally.
Another thing we're hoping to do is start setting up for the Enmity documentary series again. We've had a long break from that with our move to the country, the Conviction documentary project, and Enmity is actually, we have the scripts ready, almost ready for up to 17 episodes.
Wow.
So it's a big project, and that's something that we're really excited to continue after we have finished releasing Conviction, to jump right back into the Enmity project.
And for those of you who don't know, Enmity is basically a breakdown of Total Onslaught, but it's put in a Great Controversy theme. So from the beginning where the Great Controversy started, and it goes right through to the end with a lot of the information from Total Onslaught in it.
As well as we'll be continuing a lot of the How to Country videos upcoming this year. We have a farm supervisor now who will be able to do a lot more on the garden and the farm and help to set that up for us to do a lot more videos of country living type things and time preparation, all these type videos that we'll be doing this new year.
Nice. Well, I have you here, and actually, while you brought that up, why don't you tell me a little bit about what's happening on the grounds, because I know you manage that as well. You manage the grounds department, so tell me what's happening there.
Some of the projects that we've been working on is insulating the shop because we had nowhere to put the fire truck. We put a little update of that actually on Telegram for people to see. Also, our woodworking shop, we insulated that. We're still waiting on the doors. We don't have the doors installed yet.
COVID delays.
And once that is, now that we have that shop, all through the winter we can still work on sets, building sets in someplace warm, because before we didn't have any place to do that. And it's not a good idea to do woodworking with all the camera equipment in the studio.
For sure. And it also is a very important thing around here to have stuff that's heated, because we deal with weather that's negative 20 for a good part of the year in the winter, and it doesn't work well when working with tools and things like that. They start not functioning well in that kind of weather.
Another thing that we've been working on is a root cellar. Maybe not everybody knows what a root cellar is, but it's an in-ground building that uses the ground temperature actually to stay at a fridge-like temperature for storing vegetables, and it doesn't use any electricity. So we've been putting in a big one of those for AD, for the farm, and we'll be doing a little bit of a demonstration how people can do that themselves. Ours is a little bit bigger than most people would be putting in just for their personal use. Other things we've been working on is we poured a cement pad for a mechanic shop.
So I know we have the greenhouse that is almost functional, and then we have all the other components. Tell me about the farm. Where are we at with that?
So on the farm right now, we have our greenhouse that is almost completed. We were hoping to do that before the end of the year, but it's getting a little bit too close to winter, and putting on the plastic in the cold is not that good, and we had a very windy fall. And you can't put plastic on in the wind or else it becomes a giant parachute.
Right.
So we're going to finish that in the springtime. We have been working up the garden area. We started with a lot of rocks. It was basically a rock farm. And but luckily God helped us to get a tractor, and we got a machine called a stone crusher that we're able to drive through, and it crushes all the rocks, and now the garden is looking really nice. So those are two pieces of equipment that we had to get this year to work on the farm, was a bigger tractor with the stone crusher. Also, we're putting up a pull shed for some of the farm implements because they were just out in the rain, which isn't so good. So now we're putting up a pull shed that is going to be able to house the tractor and some of the other farm implements. And inside that building, we poured a cement pad for a mechanic shop area for working on any of the equipment or vehicles.
Very good. I know with the farming, that was really exciting because that started at the beginning of 2021, and we were looking for a tractor right in the middle during a pandemic when tractors and all equipment are not very readily available, and we were able to find a used one that was really nice, in good shape. And with the stone crusher, you had been looking into that for already a few years. We tried a rock picker, and that didn't do anything to our field. And we tried doing it all by hand, which also didn't help. Each year, the frost brought up more. So in the end, the stone crusher was the way to go. And once we got that stone crusher, I remember that you were struggling because you had so many things to do. You didn't have also time to run the stone crusher and actually crush the fields. So we were praying about that, and right then God sent a family with two teenage boys that could help run that equipment for us and take care of all the fields ready for next year. The plan for the produce is going to be to have a market garden here locally that we can minister to the local community as well, right?
With the farm and the produce, we had several purposes. Some to make videos so we could teach people how to do this themselves, whether it be their personal garden or they could do a market garden themselves and show them how to do that. And that's what we wanted to do with the vegetables, was market garden, to reach out to the community around us locally, because we do a lot of videos online, and we wanted a way to reach the people locally and get connected with them to eventually be able to share with them health message and then the spiritual food, not just the physical food that their body needs.
I think that is actually something that's really needed in this community where we're located, because it's not a farming community, it's a ranching community. And lots of people here don't grow vegetables, especially not on large scale, but they want it. And produce is not very good in the stores, so it's something that they're very excited about. And hearing Wind that we're interested in doing this got them excited. Another thing we added in 2021 was honeybees. And I know you used to do honeybee farming personally for yourself. And you've brought some of that skill in here, and we have now 6 hives. We're starting with 6 hives for the ministry.
Yeah, we're starting with a few hives. We wanted to test out how it was. This year was not the greatest because it was extremely dry. We had all the fires. There was not a lot of flowers. So we're hoping into the new year, into next year season, that we're going to be planting some more fields that have
alfalfa and hay.
Alfalfa and clover and different things that the bees are going to like. And once the garden's going, there's going to be a lot of flowers in the garden that they will be able to collect honey from and things like that.
Nice, and that's great footage also for How to Country.
Yes, teaching people how to do beekeeping. We did one video already, a little bit of an introduction, basics on how to do that, and we're going to continue those.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to share with our viewers about the projects that are happening on the grounds and in video editing. It was very exciting and enlightening, and I'm sure that they enjoyed it as well. So right here off the staff entrance for the studio is a start to the trail system. Let's take a little walk. Right here you can see the back of the barn, which is the office building. We are very thankful and grateful to everybody who was able to donate towards the project of adding the roof extension over the emergency stairs. We now were able to complete the project before winter, and the entire area is safe and secure from snow, with snow stops on the roof, so that we can use it in an evacuation if ever needed. So thank you for your support. Thank you very much for joining me on this tour. I hope that learning about some of the projects that AD's working on has been inspiring to you and also encourages you to do great things for God in your sphere. Thank you for all the supporters who have supported us to get to the projects that we're working on now and have completed the old projects. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all your support that you've done for AD and for God's work. I also want to encourage you in the sense that sometimes it's not easy to do what God wants. Moving to the country is something that can be very daunting for people, Moving a large ministry such as AD was very hard, but you can see from the stories that God has blessed along the way and has made miracles to allow us to be where we are. God doesn't just favor certain people, but He's willing to extend His hand of mercy to anybody who's willing to grab it. Sometimes walking in God's path is not always easy, but He's definitely there to help you along the way. So be encouraged that God doesn't just favor certain people, He's there to help you as well. May God bless you. Take care.